What's up, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more acid-techno, and we're going back to the mighty Smitten label again. I mentioned it before, there were three labels that sort of defined my discovery of and increasingly steep sojourn into acid-techno in the mid-90s when I discovered it. I mentioned before, I think it was mostly on my old channel, so just to rehash, late 96, my brother started playing for me some mixtapes that he had got. They were basically Goa trance and some like hard trance or melodic trance or progressive trance as we were calling it. So through those mixtapes I became interested in electronic music and the Goa tapes that he was giving me, and also some Goa compilation CDs. But yeah, the tunes I was listening to, there was a sound and I was like, hey, you know, like that sound and this track and that track and this track, what is that sound? He was like, oh, that's the acid sound. Their entire genre is devoted to that. So through that I discovered acid techno and acid trance, and you know, these obsessions continue into the present day more than 25 years later. So that's the story, and Stay Up Forever, Smitten, and Rootmaster were the three labels that I found very early on, thankfully through a couple compilation CDs. There was a compilation CDs done by this like Techno Importe company, which I think they were like actually like putting tracks they didn't have licenses to on compilation CDs. I think there's some controversy to it, but basically there was a series called The Sound of Acid Core, and I had like the first four, but the first two volumes in particular, they both came out I think 96. Maybe the second one was like early 97, but I got them in like, you know, spring of 97. And there were a lot of Stay Up Forever, Smitten, and I think Rootmaster tunes as well on those two compilations, as well as some acid trance. Like I discovered Cores and like Mandala and some other people through those compilations. So yeah, I was through some compilation CDs, but very quickly I learned that, you know, the labels that were pushing the sound that I was really interested in were Stay Up Forever, Smitten, and Rootmaster. So Smitten has always been one of the main contours of my obsession of acid techno, or with acid techno. And I'll mention it, you know, when I started doing mostly techno and like trance and just acid in general reactions on my old channel, eventually through Discogs, Steve Smitten reached out and he said, you know, I saw a couple of the videos, that's a cool thing, and you know, it makes me feel like everything we did back in the day is worth it. You know, maybe some of the stuff that we had to go through is ultimately worth it. And I enjoyed that, the idea that, you know, you would find out 20 years later that work that you had done as a label runner and so on was still being appreciated. That is pretty cool. And so once again, like that's kind of why I started doing these reactions, to like celebrate tunes and labels that I still think are worthy of talking about. So yeah, shout out to Steve Smitten. But this is Smitten number 37. We're going to listen to a tune by Punk Floyd. Punk Floyd, if you didn't know, it's Chris Liberator, Dave DDR, and the Geezer. And it's just, you know, it's as super group as you can get when it comes to the London acid techno sound. And yeah, they made a lot of tunes that are sort of cheeky. They're kind of like, in a way, I'm going to say silly. That has maybe more negative connotations than I mean. But yeah, they made a lot of tunes that they either sample kind of something cheeky, or they themselves are sort of like a cover of a non-acid tune in acid techno format. So yeah, a lot of their songs, or a lot of their tracks, are a bit on the cheeky end. And we're going to listen to a tune called Floyd as Fuck for the Y2K. This came out 2000. If you remember Y2K, it was sort of like a big thing, or at least it was supposed to be a big thing. There was a lot of worry about what was going to happen to these computer programs, which, you know, when the sort of, not even private computer, like sort of, you know, computers in the modern sense were like a 20th century thing, and so there was a lot of worry that the way that they had been like hardwired to understand that they were operating in the 20th century, that when they clicked into the 21st century, it's like, wait, are all the, you know, programs and like hardware is just going to stop working? Well, it didn't really play out that way, but there were some overwrought and hand-wringing worries about that. So yeah, this is a cheeky acid techno reference to sort of a cultural phenomenon that was occurring right at the transition of the millennium. So yeah, this is Punk Floyd, Floyd as Fuck for the Y2K on Smitten. As I said, this is Smitten number 37. I was like, wait, that doesn't sound right. Yeah. This tune, if you've heard Carbine's, what's the tune where they cover Tone Loc? Funky Old Cortina. it would mix very well with this. It does mix well with this. Same kind of tune. Sounds almost like a vocal. I'm not sure what it is, but that's a crazy, like, psychedelic keyboard layer. Low end now. So there's that, but there's also offset against it. This like. There's the money. It's like an acid transformer kind of style. You can like feel the gigawatt power. An acid generator. Double time cymbal now. It's fantastic. Oh, now we have an acid snarl. And it like swizzles back up after the snarl. It's like these are all official verbs. Break down. The track's like, alright, I can do that. Actually another like part of the like rhythm here that I didn't notice with everything else around it. It's like after the wah, it's like a wah. It's like an even higher like quasi vocal sing. Yo. Very like viscous, like liquidy but thick sort of acid. before the break we got the Transformers and then the snarl rhythm. Out of the break we got the snarl rhythm first and then the Transformers came back. I don't know if I like paid attention to that structural choice before, but I like that. It's like a mirror image, right? Like. Certainly were, right? More than 20 years later. 22 years later, these guys are still making acid-techno. All three of them. Sort of like the significance of that just kind of dawned on me. We're spoiled. Like, acid fans are spoiled. The people that have been doing this really well for a long fucking time. Speaking of which, we got a couple of Dave DDR records, fresh ones, on their way to my place. There's going to be some acid-techno ruckus, some reactions with some ruckus coming up soon. Shout out to those of you who are watching these acid-techno reactions. Obviously, this new channel has become more than what my old one was, but shout out to the acid-techno people who were there before and are still here. And anyone else who's here, by the way. I haven't really like commented on the guitar layer, but you know, obviously it's kind of the backbone of the track with that now like stripped down more. It's just perfect. Like it's, you know, for what it is, it's perfect. Now again, a lot of their tracks are a bit on the cheekier end. So like if you're gonna play like a real like, you know, to the wall, like feet stomping, fist pumping, like real serious and hard sort of acid techno set, maybe one or two of their tunes, including that one, I'm not sure that fits in. But that's the thing, you know, when you get a lot of acid techno, you notice like sub flavors even within like a particular like subgenre like London acid techno. So yeah, it's an enjoyable thing about being in DJs. You start to think about like, you know, what kind of tunes would go well together and what kind of like story you want to tell. And you have a lot of different records, you can tell a lot of different stories. But again, you just have to sort of choose the right ones for the right moment. So yeah, like in a fun kind of having it like party style acid techno set, that's a perfect track. So yeah, I do enjoy it a lot, even if again I feel like their tunes are, you have to find the right place for a Punk Floyd tune. Although I say that, you know, Stella Artois Overdrive, I mentioned before, I think it's one of the exceptions in that is like, it's got such like a heavy acid bass that like, I do think you could play that in a more like serious, so to speak, acid techno set. But like I said, a lot of their tunes have this kind of cheeky, you know, sampling like a rock tune or like making kind of like a funny vocal of their own. So yeah, I do very much enjoy this. Let me know what you think of this tune. I'm trying to remember, what is the tune on the other side? I feel like the tune on the other side is also a tune of note, so we might have to come back for that. It is Opus PF. That's not the one I was thinking. I guess I'm thinking of their Comfortably Dumb record, which I think I did already react to, at least on my old channel I did. I'll check, and if I only did it on my old channel, I'll do that one soon, because Comfortably Dumb is a great tune, and obviously, like, more than any other track I think they've done, it speaks to the name they chose, Punk Floyd, Pink Floyd. So yeah, I really do enjoy that tune. If I have already done it, go check the reaction. I'll put it in the comments below. But yeah, let me know what you think of this one. Other than that, thank you for listening and watching. I will see you next time.